Border Battle with King and CJ with King.
You want to go get a hot dog at halftime? Well, guess what? You can also take the under in the second half of 25. You know what I mean?
And CJ.
You can win Super Bowls right now with me and Grandpa Brady over here. Let's do it that way.
Presented by the fine students and faculty of the Oklahoma State University School of Media and Strategic Communications in beautiful Paul Miller Building. Broadcast live on KXZY OSU Student Radio. And now, live from Studio 318, it's Border Battle with Jordan the Great King and CJ the Viking Notch.
Welcome back into Studio 318. Thank you very much, Landon, getting us going here this morning on a Wednesday, February 28th. Thanks so much for joining us on Suddenly Channel 112, YouTube Live. That's Border Battle on Demand, Facebook.com/Border Battle Show, or OSU Student Radio KXCY. He's Chris, CJ Notch, the Viking. I'm Jordan the Great, I guess, King.
I was just gonna say, sorry to interrupt, but it's weird. We're both actually on the show again at the same time.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's been a week.
It's been about a week, so we're gonna set up the show here real quick. We're gonna get to a quick break at the top of this show. Joining us in just a few minutes will be Cowgirls soccer forward, Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, third team All-American Haley Woodard. Excited to have her on the show. Later on, we're going to be talking some Cowgirl basketball as well. That's exciting as well. They got the Big 12 tournament coming up for them. So plenty OSU talk coming up. We're going to talk a little NITs, which will probably affect some Cowboy basketball. So all of that, we'll be talking about that. We're going to be talking about Chris and I heading out to New York. We're obviously super excited for that. Reed and Logan Mosher will be here on Friday to take us through that. So we're going to get to a quick break, and when we come back, Haley Woodard, again, will be joining us from Oklahoma State University Cowgirl Soccer. She's the Big 12 Player of the Year. You're listening to the Border Battle with King and CJ on OSU Student Radio KXCY. Welcome back into Studio 318 here in the Paul Miller Journalism Building at Oklahoma State University. You're listening to the Border Battle with King and CJ. He's CJ over there. I'm King. Between us, we have Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, Haley Woodard. Haley, thank you so much for taking a few minutes out. We appreciate it. So we see the goal there against Baylor. I was at that game. That was over, I believe, just single overtime there. Mm-hmm. And a great run from Charmaine Morgan gets the service into you. We'll get to some of your teammates a little bit later on in the segment here. First of all, last season you start out hurt. you come back and you're able to have a big impact overall. What's it like to, after having Courtney DK graduate, what's it like to step into that role and know that, from an offensive standpoint, the team needed a little bit of help and you stepped up and gave it to them?
Obviously, in the spring, we kind of knew that we were going to lose Courtney, and what we really talked about was focusing on getting goals and numbers from multiple people. So coming in, there wasn't really any pressure, coming off an injury, to try and make that up on my own. I think we had 9 different people score, I think, throughout, or more than that. I don't know the exact number, but we had a lot of different players score. So that was really cool to just, not have any pressure to you need to be scoring, because I feel like my whole career I've been good at scoring goals, but there was really no pressure. I kind of came back on my own time when I felt ready, and everybody was just really supportive, and this season turned out way different than what I'd ever imagined, so that was really exciting.
Yeah, so, kind of going off last year as well, with it being your second time going to the tournament, and then first time since you've been here being a Big 12 championship champion, what's that been like to experience that?
Honestly, I think we all kind of had a mindset coming in that we were we don't know what this season's going to bring. We don't know what the freshmen are going to do. We don't know how we're going to be. And we just came in and we worked hard. And I think our coaches said it multiple times. We had maybe 2 practices where we were switched off last season. We were just on all the time. And I think that made a big impact, and it led us to the tournament and led us to win the conference. We were really in it together, and we cared about each other. And that's one of the best teams I've ever been a part of. And it was really exciting. And you could just tell that the passion was there for everyone. And we just took it one game at a time. We didn't think about the future. We didn't get nervous. We didn't get scared, and we didn't back down.
So talking about the always being switched on, everyone's always zoned in. How much of a senior leadership was that? Obviously, Anna Beffer, and then goalkeeper Michaela Angaro. Obviously, Angaro probably the vocal leader of the team. And then obviously Anna Beffer put it, especially for you, she puts it on the exact blade of grass that you need to make a good play. Mm-hmm. Losing those 2, how big of an impact is that going to be in overall, last season? How big of an impact did they have even off the field as far as practicing and keeping everyone focused?
Anna is definitely going to be missed as kind of, she's a voice of reason. She gets along with everyone. She makes amazing plays that we just don't know where they come from, and she makes them in practice, she makes them in games, and so we're really going to miss that. But we have some players stepping up in practice this spring that are really going to help us out in that area. And as far as Michaela, she was our grandma. We used to joke with her that she's almost 30, she's old, and she was just the voice of the team. You always hear her. I could be at the way other end of the field, and I can hear exactly what she's saying to me. And personally, I was really close with her, so I'm really going to miss her, having her support me and yell at me on the field. But a lot of players stepped up last season as well. They were 2 of, obviously they're seniors, and they were 2 of the main ones that spoke up. But we had a lot of different voices and a lot of different leadership, and we still do. So I think we're going to be just fine carrying into next season with what we have. Talking
about some of the younger players, obviously we talked, Chris and I, a few weeks ago, talked about what Kim Rodriguez going down in the U20 CONCACAF women's and winning that. She scored a penalty in the semifinal against Canada. Her free kick was essentially what led to the goal in regulation against the United States in the final. What kind of experience does that give? Obviously she's a freshman,
right?
But this is experience that a lot of sophomores, juniors even don't have. How big is it for her to get experience like that at such a young age?
It's huge. Kim came in last year, and I feel like I'm getting old. I don't know the freshmen anymore. I don't know who they are, where they what they do. And Kim came in kind of a little later in preseason because she was actually practicing with the team, with the Mexico team. And every time she touches the ball, I am just at ease. The whole team would agree. We are at ease. We have no problems. We don't care where she is on the field. We have complete confidence in her because of, I think mostly because of that experience that she's had. She's played at that high level, and she just really brings an energy but also a calmness to the game that really helps us all out.
Overall, the switch to the wingback formation with Charmaine Morgan and how athletic she is, and she can run for 90 minutes without stopping. Overall, has the athleticism of this team just overall improved to allow you to play a formation like that? Because I was kind of raised the eyebrows, shifting to, it's kind of a drastic shift from the normal standard 4-3-3 or 4-4-2, whatever you're going to run, and then all of a sudden you incorporate wingbacks. Do you think that gave you an upper hand in conference play, especially, that teams maybe haven't seen this?
Yes, and when we started practicing that in the spring, we were like, our coaches are crazy. What are we doing? We have 1 forward and 5 defenders. Like, how are we going to attack? But it fit. They always said it fit our personnel very well, and I think it showed. I mean, our season backs that up, supports how it fit us and our personnel and our abilities and our strengths, and it covers our weaknesses pretty well. And so that formation is just, for us, it was a shock to get used to, and now we're working on improving it and kind of switching it up a little bit. So, but yeah, I think for other teams, it definitely gave us the upper hand because it's not something you normally see. And we used to play 4-3-3, 4-4-2, we kind of changed our formation to other teams. But this last season, we stuck with our formation. We did what we knew how to do, and people had to play us. We didn't go to play them; they played us. And I think that also helped with us, just being brave and not backing down and being confident.
So being from Norman, what,
yeah,
I
always get it. Yeah,
I'm sure you do. Was it tough choosing between OSU and OU?
It was not tough, surprisingly. I was supposed to go on. I had my official here in camp, and then I was supposed to go to OU the next day after this camp was over. And my parents, I mean, they've always been indifferent. They don't care about the Bedlam rivalry, and they made me go to OSU camp, and I cried. I got in the car crying like a little 12-year-old because I was like, I'm not going to OSU. I'm going to OU with my friends. I'm going to play soccer. I'm going to be close to home. And after the first camp, after meeting the coaches, after my official visit, they offered me. I said yes. And my parents said, oh, no, we need a minute. And I said, we don't need a minute. I want to go here. And it wasn't really a shock to people because, I mean, I love Norman, and I obviously used to like OU, but I just didn't really want to be with everyone. I wanted to kind of have my own experience. And, if there's people I know at OU that play on sports teams, I'll still obviously want them to do well. But, yeah, and then my mom's whole side of the family is OSU, which I didn't really realize until I came here. So they gave me all the support I needed. So it was okay. It wasn't hard.
And so I know you said, Bedlam's not real big with your parents, but for you as a player, is Bedlam, something a little different being you're from, the area, the rivalry, more than, people from other states. Is that what's that like?
When I first got here, I think I was interviewed before our first Bedlam game, and I was like, why do they want to talk to me? I'm a freshman. I don't play that much. I don't start. Who cares? And then after playing in it and just feeling the passion from the players and the fans and the coaches, I was like, whoa, this is way bigger than I've ever known it to be. And I kind of get caught up in it sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't like them. We have to win. It's not an option. So definitely losing to OU a few times early on, that was definitely it kicked in my motivation and my competitiveness to want to beat them whenever I did get out there.
Overall, Coach Carmichael, what is something special that he brings that you don't think? Obviously, you've never been in another locker room with as far as on the collegiate level, but what do you see from him compared to other coaches you've had that maybe creatively or something? Is it something as simple as saying in the last offseason, you know what, I think we have the players, we're switching the formation, that's how we're doing it, or is there anything that you see in him that's a little bit different and that makes him so successful? Because obviously he is. Yeah,
he's been here for a long time. He's very successful. I think definitely, like you said, the switching the formation, he was, willing to take that risk. And so that worked, and obviously it showed. And I think that's what he brings, is he's not scared to change it up if we need to. Going from the original 4-3-3 to all of a sudden this brand new formation. And we all just kind of got on board, and he's been really good at getting us on board and bought into the program, and that's why we're being successful right now.
Sure.
So I got to ask, too, before we, get a little ahead with the exhibition stuff, over Halloween, you decided to dress up as Gundy. I know we have the photo here that we'll pull up so everyone that's, watching can see this photo. But with that, where on Twitter, Gundy tweets, I've never looked so good.
That was the best tweet I've ever received ever. I was so honored.
So So did you just decide to come up with that? Was that like a team thing of like, okay, Haley, you're going to be the one that does this, or?
JC Jones and we both have like an appreciation for Gundy, and we just think he's so cool, and we see him running around campus and we're like, oh my gosh, it's Gundy. Like, it doesn't matter that we're athletes, we're like, it's Gundy, and like I feel like the whole town feels like that. And we were walking out of practice like the week before, and I was like, I'm gonna dress up as Gundy. And JC was like, oh my gosh, yes. And I was like, I'm gonna do it. And then I got a wig. I borrowed some of those like Xbox headphones from a football player. Yeah. I got the shirt and the wind pants, and it just it came together way better than I thought it would. I just kind of threw it together, but yeah, I don't know.
So were you surprised when you saw that he tweeted it?
I was surprised. I knew that like tweeting it would probably, like my friends would be like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. And then he saw it and he tweeted me, and I was like, my roommates thought I was crazy. I probably was like so fangirling, jumping up and down in my living room. Like, Gundy just tweeted a picture of me, like with a response. Like, my day is made. I'm done. I can graduate now.
Overall, how cool is it to be part of an athletic program with Gundy? Because I feel like, Oklahoma State is never, you're never surefire. Oklahoma State is never surefire out of the news, because who knows what Gundy's going to do. As far as what he does for other athletic programs, we saw with the saxophone, with the basketball team this year, what you were referencing in that dressing up was for the wrestling team. Everything he does for other programs, what do you guys see as far as other athletes from other programs?
He cares. He cares about every sport. He doesn't just care about football. He's just normal. I mean, we ride the elevator with him, and he talks to us, and he asks us, what's going on in our season. He's like, oh, you guys are soccer, right? Like, it's a big deal for us when people know what sport we play. And I think he's just shown that over and over again, like with his tweets. I mean, all of his tweets are very supportive of many different things, and it just makes him relatable, I guess, and personable. And it's just cool to have a head coach be like that to the rest of the athletic department.
Sure. All right. Well, we got a few minutes here. We'll look forward a little bit to the spring season here. 6 games here and traveling all around. Obviously not at home. We got the construction going. How excited are you, first of all, for that?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm just so happy that I get to experience it. If it's for 1 year, I don't care. I still get to be here, They've been telling players for years it's going to get done, and then something happens and it doesn't. So I'm just excited to get to experience it and go in that locker room and play on that field.
So you talked about the younger players, obviously. We talked about Rodriguez and some other players that were awarded that were young freshmen. What step have you seen for them? And then, like, we talked about Michaela Angaro leaving. Tanya D'Souza, she got some minutes last year, some important minutes early on in the season. Do you think these players are ready to step up and take a significant role in this team?
Yes, definitely. In practice, we are getting after each other. We're criticizing each other. We're taking it. No one's getting their feelings hurt. People are speaking up and being like, hey, do this next time. And then when they do it, we're the first person to congratulate them. So people are just being mature. And I think that's really going to help next year with us needing the younger players to step up into that role.
So then also with soccer, more, I guess, with you, is there like either a player or, past professional that you've kind of looked up to that maybe you brought, your styles is kind of geared toward them, or just something that you've kind of looked up to when it comes to soccer world?
Soccer world, I'm going to be honest, I played a lot of sports and I mostly paid attention to basketball.
Okay.
Obviously, Michael Jordan, I mean, there will never be anyone greater. And I am really blessed to have, an athletic ability that isn't, normal. And that's what he had. And so my mom's always like, kind of looked up to him, and I've looked up to him. And in the soccer world, honestly, Megan Rapinoe, I love her. I don't have her style, but she works hard and she makes plays. And I just think she's a really awesome player, and I love watching her play.
Okay, last question here real quick. You're playing the U20 Mexico national team. Which team is there? Could be some jersey swapping at halftime, or what's going on?
Honestly, I don't know. Our coach hasn't told us, but he says, I mean, obviously they're getting ready to play in the World Cup, so she's probably going to need to practice with her team, which is going to hurt me, and I don't want to play against Kimmy, but I mean, whatever is great for her to be successful on her own. We all support her, and we'll get over it.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much again for joining us. We appreciate you taking out a couple minutes. We're going to catch a break. When we come back, Oklahoma State women's basketball in the Big 12 tournament this weekend. What did a win against TCU and a Sooner loss mean for their rankings in the Big 12 tournament? And is the Big 12 tournament a big deal for this team? We'll let you know all of that next on the Border Battle on KXZY.
Hi, I'm Gina Noble, and I'm the mayor of Stillwater, Oklahoma. Stillwater, Oklahoma is anything but still. We are a vibrant community, and we are conveniently located near Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and Wichita, Kansas. We're the home of the Oklahoma State Cowboys, and we serve as the cultural, economic, and athletic hub for North Central Oklahoma. In fact, several Quality of Life magazines have recognized Stillwater as one of the nation's 100 top places to live and one of the best places to golf. Established in the land run in 1889, Stillwater is a safe, vibrant community. It boasts a great educational system from K through 12, all the way up to our world-class university, Oklahoma State University. We have an exceptional downtown with a strong entrepreneurial spirit, numerous city parks and trails, and our medical resources are second to none. Stillwater is a wonderful place to begin your career, to start a business, to raise a family, or to retire. We invite you to visit Stillwater because we are anything but still.
Think you're not involved in your community? Think again. Spending your money with local businesses is more than an economic choice. It's a way you can have a say in the look and feel of your hometown. This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
Welcome back into Studio 318 here in Paul Miller Journalism Building. You're listening to the Border Battle with King and CJ here on KXZY OSU Student Radio. And we are going to hop into it. Chris, let's talk about NIT first of all here. We'll get to the Cowgirls. We saw their highlights before the break. We'll get to them in the last segment. So there was some news about the NIT here, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. I think it's kind of interesting here. And we'll get into, this branches off into a whole bunch of different ways, and we'll get to all of that. But there's some format rule changes. We'll take a look at them here. The first one is moving back the three-point arc. That's to make it within FIBA regulations, which is the World Basketball Association regulations. They're going to widen the lane to NBA regulations. 10-minute quarters, bonus after 5 fouls. I thought this was interesting because the article on NCAA.com said 4 10-minute quarters. Now, if they had taken style and structure with some of the professors around here, they would know that that's redundant. A quarter means there's 4 of them. Quarter. So we don't say 4 10-minute quarters, we say 10-minute quarters. Bonus after 5 fouls. Shot clock to 20 seconds on an offensive board. So it starts out with 30. If you get an offensive board, it's only 20 seconds. You don't get the full 30. We'll start with the three-point line. Does this make any difference to you?
I don't think so. For me, I guess no. Because even when you watch it nowadays with how the game's been tooled, rarely is someone actually taking a 3-point shot where it's right at the line. They're usually a couple feet behind or or something like that. So for me, it's one of those things that why nothing's really going to change. It's a foot and 22 feet or a foot and 8 inches.
In the grand scheme of things, people are shooting these shots already. Look at Trae Young. He's shooting way further out than this. Like he's a beyond NBA range. So
Steph Curry Jr.,
Steph Curry, all these guys. It was back to Jimmer Fredette. He did the same exact thing. So I think you look at all these guys, it makes sense to move it back. We'll see if this actually translates to it because a lot of these do after they get tested out in the NIT. So again, these are just tested out in the NIT this year. Going forward, they'll see. Now here's an interesting thing. They said they're going to widen the lane to NBA range, and the reason they're doing that is to quote like limit contact, limit physicality. And I'm worried about this, Chris, because I think if they eventually adopt this, I think it's a problem. Because if you end up having college basketball played like it's played in the NBA, if you start having the averages of these teams scoring up in the 90s and 100s, you've lost a whole sector of fans for college basketball, myself included. I like defensive battles. I like physical play. You're a Big Ten fan as well. I think we both like physical play.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to widen out the lane, I think you put that into jeopardy. And I think that's what they want. I don't think they want physical play. And quite frankly, I'm not sure I agree with that.
No, I think too, I feel like the NBA, the NBA is way different. Like if back when it was 12 feet, like the NBA is what, the whole aggressive, like you said, physical play. That's what the NBA used to be. And the NBA has gotten so out of that realm that now it's like the NIT, in a sense. I don't know if they're trying to see like, okay, this way players understand, in the pros, it's not as physical. Like you said, I think it's going to hurt. Like you said, in the grand scheme of things, I think it's actually going to hurt. Because like you said, coming from a Big Ten conference where physicality is a must, if you want to survive, you need that. And then, like you said, you're splitting it, you're widening it 4 feet. What, the
thing that just doesn't make sense to me here is you're the NCAA. They shouldn't, in my opinion, they shouldn't care less what the NBA thinks. If these kids aren't prepared to go play in the NBA, that's not their job.
Right.
Their job is to put out, at the end of the day, what is the NCAA's mission to do? It's to make money. Whether they say it or not, it's to make money. And so forget about, we want to make these people students at first. Don't start that conversation with me, NCAA. Just don't. And it's also not your job to prepare them for the pros.
Right.
Because you've never indicated that that's what you're trying to do anyway. So for me, I don't think that widening this I just don't think that's an argument that the NCAA can make, that they're doing this to prepare them for the pros, because I just don't think that's the case.
Right, and kind of what you touched on, I think it would be different if they were partnered with the NBA, like if the NCAA and NBA were under the same umbrella or something, in a sense. Like, yeah, then I could see it, but like you said, when the NCAA is their own body of, governing body, so to speak, like, yeah, to keep, because in the end, NCAA has to think about themselves. Like,
right.
People want to see that physicality, and now you're taking that away. Like, that's possible revenue that you may or may not lose.
That's what I mean. If this ends up taking scoring and putting it up into the 90s and 100s, you're going to get the young kids, but you're going to lose a whole segment of your audience. And quite frankly, I don't think they realize how big that segment is, because I'm part of that segment.
Yeah.
I would not like NCAA basketball as much as I do now if I'm not going to be able to see occasionally a 65-68 grinded out game. I love that. So if you're going to take that out of the equation, then yeah, you're going to end up losing a lot more people than the NCAA I think thinks.
Sorry, and it kind of dealt with how the NBA was dealing with the All-Star game. It was that same thing. No one wants to see, granted it's the All-Star game and it hadn't really had a lot of meaning to it, but still no one wants to see, a massive 175 to 140 or whatever. They, like you said, you want to see a score that it's a nail biter. If you watch some of these games, sometimes the team wins 90 to maybe 85 or something, like that's okay. Like as long as it's a grinded out style game, it's it's that same thing the NBA was dealing with the All-Star game. It's no one wants to see a score that almost hits 200 points. Granted, I know in an actual real game that'd be pretty rare to see it happen, but but that sense of getting so far over 100.
Yeah, like obviously that has some merit. I think it's kind of hard to use that as like a comparison, because it isn't like it's not a game that at the end of the day matters. But I think when you look at the NBA, part of the reason that I don't like it is because even during the regular season, even during games that matter, you have teams that are just laying on defense. I don't like that. And you have 6 fouls, not 5. And people are like, why do you worry about like letting a guy go straight by you? I just don't quite understand that. So I think that's interesting. I don't necessarily like that. I don't like the explanation that goes along with it at the very least. So we'll see how that works out in the NIT this year. Again, a lot of these could impact the Oklahoma State Cowboys because right now they're probably an NIT team. They're probably a pretty darn good seeded NIT team as well. Probably going to end up hosting a game at Gallagher-Iba Arena, which would be over spring break, which would probably not be good if we're talking about like what the attendance issues have been. So I'm not sure. We'll see how that all works out when we get to that. So the other thing is they moved to a 10-minute quarter. 10-minute quarters. I think this is actually a benefit. I think the half model is outdated. I think going to 10-minute quarters with 5 fouls puts you into, I believe it's straight into the double bonus. That's fine with me because, quite frankly, it really ticks me off when we're 12 minutes left in a game in the NCAA tournament and we have free throws for the rest of the game because one of the teams already into the bonus. I think it's stupid that even happens. So now you eliminate that to a certain extent. It works in women's college basketball. I don't care what you say. And then also, you know what you can do? Start taking some more of these timeouts away.
Yeah. I don't mind the 4-minute quarter, the 10-minute quarters. I don't mind that. I'm totally cool with that. I don't like the fifth foul thing.
Why?
I know it's only 10 minutes, so it's not a lot of time, but if you're gonna do a fifth foul, don't just give them 2 free throws. At least make like a 1-and-1. I get it. You maybe want a speed up thing, but I
disagree.
I think it's ridiculous after the fifth foul. You're gonna start shooting 2 fouls because if a team, because you're still gonna deal with the same thing. Let's say 3 minutes into the game, all of a sudden a team picks up 5 fouls. You're shooting free throws for the rest of that quarter. That's 7 minutes per se if they foul.
How are you going to foul in? Okay, well, here's the thing. Either the refs are extremely crooked or you deserve that. If you foul 5 times in 2 minutes and a quarter or 3 minutes and a quarter, you deserve that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the fifth foul thing.
Here's my thing. You take this and you extrapolate it out to a half. What does it come out to? The math comes out to 10 fouls. It's literally not changing anything at all. All it's getting rid of is the bonus 1-and-1. It's getting rid of that. Because if you take the current half, 20 minutes, 7 divided by 2 is 3.5 fouls. So technically, after the 3rd or 4th foul, they should get 1-and-1 bonus. You're taking that out of the game. You're saying in the same amount of time, you have the same ratio of fouls. So it's a brilliant idea to me because you're actually taking free throws away. You're not giving them free throws. Do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
Because like you're saying, so like your argument would be, your argument of 5 fouls in the first 3 minutes is like someone getting 10 fouls in the first 4 minutes.
No, right, and I know that. I know that'd be it was a bad example in a sense because it's pretty rare that would actually happen.
Exactly.
Like I get that, but I'm just not a fan of the going straight to 2 free throws. Like I'd rather go a 1-and-1. Like if you want to do the fifth foul thing, fine. Then make the 4th one start being a 1-and-1.
Why though? Because then you're slowing down the game again. That's the whole point of this.
I don't know because to me it's a thing of if it's, let's say it's a random dumb foul, so to speak.
Yeah.
If they get hacked going for a layup, whatever, yeah, that's fine. But if they're just getting fouled like a steal and they get called for it, just give them automatic 2 free throws. No,
yeah, that's how it's played currently. That's how it's currently played.
But
that's
you
how
have
the NCAA
a 1-on-1. Like you get
You don't get a 1-and-1. After 10 fouls, you get 2 free throws, no matter what the foul is. If
that's
it's a
after
steal,
10, though.
But it's the same ratio, Chris. It's a 20-minute half. So are you getting confused here? These fouls reset after each quarter.
Yeah.
You understand
no,
that, right?
yeah, I get that.
So it's the same ratio.
I'm just a fan of 1-on-1s, okay? That's my biggest thing.
They slow the game down.
Because it's more of a pressure thing. You have to make one to get the other. It's like a...
But your reward... But here's the thing. You're saying it's not fair to reward a guy for 2 free throws for getting fouled on a steal, right? That's not fair to award him that?
I don't think so.
So then why is it fair that if I go on Trae Young, a great free throw shooter... I'm not sure if Trae Young's a great free throw shooter. I'm using this as an example. Trae Young, a great free throw shooter, and I foul him on a steal, he's going to get 2 because he's going to make them both. That's the same exact argument. You're taking free throws away, which is important here, in my opinion. I think you're shortening the game, you're making it more interesting, and you're not rewarding people as much with the free throw line. That's my opinion.
All right. Fair enough, real quick. I know we don't have a lot of time. This whole 20-second thing, too.
Brilliant. Long time coming.
Yeah. I'm not going to get an argument because I feel like we're going to go way over with this, but... I don't know. Like it helps speed everything up, but then in the end, like if you have a bigger lead, then the teams, they're getting rushed.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you, but I'm not with you. I'm sorry, I'm not with you. I think I think it's a good thing. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about us out in New York. We're going to talk about the Cowgirl basketball team. All that coming up next on KXZY.
What is arts and sciences?
We aren't all about the arts.
We like to think of ourselves as explorers.
From exploring the human mind
to discerning the building blocks of the universe.
We don't just read books.
We don't just sit in the classroom.
And we don't just solve problems.
We seek to give everyone a voice.
In a variety of approaches.
We tackle the big issues.
By understanding complex social structures.
And even understand the small ones.
We take passions to new heights.
But stay grounded.
We tell stories.
Of the past. Of the present.
And work to predict the future.
We like to think with a little preparation. Some dirt under the fingernails.
And some self-analysis. You can do anything.
With nearly 100-degree plans to choose from.
Where will your arts and science degree take you?
Connect, achieve, succeed.
To our neighbors and friends, we come to you today to let you know what's on our hearts. Because you're the reason what we do is so much more meaningful than a job. The reason we believe in the power of investing in tomorrow and the power of community. So this is simply thank you. As we step boldly into a time of growth and change, consider this our promise that every investment in our hospital is an investment in our communities.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
Welcome back into Studio 318 here in Paul Miller Journalism Building. You're listening to the Border Battle with King and CJ. He's CJ, I'm King. Chris, let's talk about it, man. We're heading out to New York, the Big Apple. I'm excited. Are you excited?
Oh, I feel like I get asked this every day, and I'm sure you do too. I don't know. I'm excited, yes, but
so you're less excited.
Okay. Let me explain. We talked about this in our podcast, Behind the Battle. There's so much stuff going on for me, I guess personally at least, that it's just like I don't have time to think about us going to New York yet. In a sense, I was telling actually one of our camera guys this before the show. I said once I'm done with my 1:30 to 2:20 class, yes, then I'm gonna be in like New York mode because then I just have work and then work in the morning and we're on our way. So right at the moment, no, because it's like there's so much stuff I still have going on for the day. But I mean, I'm still excited. It's just, I have other stuff keeping me preoccupied at the moment.
Yeah, I understand that. I think what the thing is like you're less excited about the city of New York as you are about the conference that we're attending.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think we're both in that boat. I could care less if the conference was in Stillwater. Honestly, I think it's the conference that we're excited about attending rather than the city of New York. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited to go across New York off the old bucket list, but that's the way it goes. So. We're out there for the Intercollegiate Broadcasting Systems Conference. Tell some people about that, Chris, because you had to explain it all to me, so you know better how to explain it than I.
All right, yeah. So the Intercollegiate Broadcast Systems, or IBS as it is called, it's just it's the main conference that the IBS does. They have a bunch of other little ones throughout the year, but it's just schools from all over that are part of Backbone and this whole conference thing. And then they just have vendors and, you learn about different radio things that you can do and ways to better your station, whether you're a student manager or regular manager or ways to broadcast your show. They have a bunch of stuff for all of us to do. I know we're actually going to be fortunate enough we get to tour Entercom when we get there on Friday. So that'd be pretty exciting. And then I guess a bonus thing is they also have an awards ceremony, and lucky enough, you and I, we get to represent, everyone here at the university in Border Battle as being, a finalist for the best TV sports program, or for best sports program, for TV and video. So, it's kind of like that cherry on top thing. It's an added bonus.
Yeah, we were planning on going before that happened, and then we obviously get the news about that. I got it over spring break, or over Christmas break. I was waking up, I was a little groggy, and I get a Snapchat from Chris, and it says, it's got us circled, and we're like the second one. So I thought we were second. I thought we came in second, so I jumped out of bed, and yeah, that was kind of cool to figure that out. But I'm excited to go out there. Obviously, like I said on the Behind the Battle podcast. By the way, folks, KingsCornerSports.com is kind of my brand. On that website, I'm hosting the Behind the Battle podcast. So we'll also push that out on Facebook.com/BorderBattleShow. So keep an eye out on there for those, because those are fun. We get Landon, our EP, up here and just talk. We literally turn on a recorder and we talk for like 50 minutes. It's a blast. It's fun. It's funny. My dad says it's funny, so you guys should go watch it and listen to it, because obviously my dad wouldn't lead you down the wrong path. So, but like I said in that, it's like, I'm not going to point people to watch that, because I think what we're doing right now, our shows right now, are so much better than it. So I do think, obviously I'm excited that we're up for an award, but I'm happy to go out there and sit through some good conferences and learn a little bit more about whether it be social media and radio or just all of this stuff that surrounds sound and radio and how you can turn it into different things. We've already turned it into a simulcast TV show on cable television and live on YouTube. So but there's so much more else we can learn, and I'm excited, obviously both of us hungry for the knowledge.
Yeah,
to go out to New York.
Yeah, and with the amount of, like you said, exactly the amount of knowledge that some of the speakers they have, and the stuff that we're able to do, I also got to give a shout out to, I guess, to Barbara Allen. She's helped, kind of give us, and Craig, and basically SMSC giving us this opportunity to actually even go out to New York, because if it wasn't for them in student media, we wouldn't be able to go do this. So I also have to give a shout out to them. But I will say, for anyone that's interested, we are going to try and go Facebook Live a little bit throughout the conference, so you guys can see what we're kind of seeing and going through. And then on Monday we'll kind of regurgitate everything that went on.
Yeah. So a little bit of pressure on us. We're obviously forever indebted to the people of the SMSC for what they've done for us. So hopefully we're able to bring something home in the form of hardware. We'll see what happens. I'm excited to go out there though and just learn and meet some people, talk to some people. That's all exciting. Obviously, you know me, Chris. I like to talk. So that's all fun. But we'll take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Cowgirl basketball. They got the Big 12 tournament coming up. Again, we're going to get to that. What does that Sooner loss mean for last night? The Sooners lost to Texas. We'll see what that means for them, for the Cowgirls, how it means for the Big 12 tournament, and is this Big 12 tournament a big deal for this team? All that next on Border Battle on OSU Student Radio KXZY. Welcome back to Studio 318 here in Paul Miller Journalism Building at Oklahoma State University. You're listening to the Border Battle with King and CJ on OSU Student Radio KXZY, Suddenlink Channel 112, YouTube Live, Border Battle on Demand, or Facebook.com/Border Battle Show. As Chris said, Facebook.com/Border Battle Show. Bookmark it. You know, be checking there Friday and Saturday, maybe even a little bit Sunday. Try to go Facebook Live a couple times and just keep you updated. Maybe talk some breaking news in the world of sports. Maybe give our take on something that happens here in Stillwater or something like that. Who knows? Who knows? It'll be a wild card. It'll be a wild card. We'll just hit the live button, and when the lights come on, we'll see what happens. So that's the plan out in New York. But again, Facebook.com/Border Battle Show. All of it will be through that. So, Chris, we got this weekend. We're going to be out in New York, but the Cowgirls stay in the state of Oklahoma. I believe it's down at the Peak.
Yep.
In Oklahoma City where the Thunder play. That is where the women's tournament is, the Big 12 tournament. Last night, Oklahoma lost by about a dozen or so, somewhere around there, 15, 20 points to Texas. And this was a big result for Oklahoma State. Here's why. They move up to the 3 seed. So this has multiple benefits. Number one, you're not playing a 500 in conference TCU team that can shoot the lights out of the ball if they get going. Number two, you're not with Baylor's side of the bracket. I don't care what anyone says, Texas is a heck of a team, and obviously the Cowgirls got run off the floor by Texas as well at home, but they are a much more easily beatable team compared to Baylor, in my opinion. And that's, again, to highlight the difference between number 3 in the country and 7 in the country. I believe in women's basketball is a lot further than it is from 3 to 17 in men's. I just do. I think the difference is drastic. And so I think this was a big result for the Cowgirls. They take the 3 seed. They're going to play West Virginia in the first round. Now, again, West Virginia can be a streaky team. This is not a for sure guaranteed win. They had to play really well out in West Virginia to get this 3 seed again. So we'll see if they're in the tournament. My question to you is, and again, on the 2 seed side, that means they're with Texas, not Baylor. So my question to you is, does this tournament matter? Can they lose the first game, and are they still all right?
I think they're all right still, but at the same time, you still have that sense of you want to at least win one, especially as a 3 seed. Yes, I think they're fine either way, just because beating UCLA and some of the other quality wins that they have. But I think you still have to beat West Virginia to really cement your place in it. But yeah, that'd be about it. I agree though with the whole Texas is beatable. We only lost to them by 5 in Austin, so we unfortunately got blown out on our court, but we also faced Baylor at the same time, so that's a whole other thing. But yeah, I don't know. I think they're in either way. I think if anything, the win against West Virginia just cements it.
Be difficult. They'll for sure be in it with the win against West Virginia because you're not going to penalize them for losing to Texas. So that's the way it goes. Now, if they beat West Virginia, and then they lose to a team that upsets Texas, now you get back into this issue of, are you on the bubble again? Because I do think this team, if they lose to West Virginia, may be a little bit on the bubble. Here's the thing, though. I don't think you keep a 20-win team and an 11-win team in the Big 12 out of the tournament. I just don't think you do. Not when you're playing against Baylor twice a year, Texas twice a year, and then you got to play OU twice a year. By the way, you swept OU. You lost to Mississippi State, the number 2 team in the country. You lost to them by 3 at Mississippi State. You're playing well on the road. What does road success mean for tournaments? It means you are prepared for tournaments. You don't have to be playing at home to get wins. This team doesn't. And in fact, in some cases, played better against teams on the road than they did at home. So quite frankly, I think this team makes sense to be a tournament team and be a dangerous tournament team. So we'll see if that happens starting this weekend or if they wait till the NCAA tournament to turn it on. I want to talk about the seniors because this was senior night the other night, Monday against TCU, and they played exceptionally well. You got Lauren Goodwin scoring 30 points in her final game for the Cowgirls. I'm going to start with her. How big of I say signing. I don't want to make it sound like free agency because that's kind of what grad transfers become, but that's way it is. She's a grad transfer. How big of a get was this for Coach Littell looking back now at this season as a whole?
Looking back, it was tremendous. Like this is, in a sense, it's almost like this is what Littell. Sorry, not Littell. I'm thinking Spreebo. Littell. This was a gem of a find. To be able to get her to come here, and it just showed like she was that missing link in a sense. Like yes, the Cowgirls have more to build on, and it's unfortunate we only have her for a year. It'd been interesting to see. Let's say if she'd have 2 more years, or if she was only a sophomore per se, like just to see where she could go. But I mean, don't get me wrong, we're stacked with who we have coming up with Braxton Miller and others. And I don't want to, get off the senior subject, but it was a tremendous by Coach Littell to be able to get Goodwin over here.
Yeah, we'll get to the freshman in just a second. But Kaylee Jensen, she passed over the 1,500 point, 1,000 rebound mark. Like this is she goes down as a legend in this program. She really does. And I think she ranks 4th on a list of players who have at least 1,500 points and 1,000 boards. She's just I find it hard to put into words what she means to this program. Not just this team, this program. Like you look at Coach Littell and what he's brought to the program. Obviously, yes, he's turned it around. A big part of that has been Kaylee Jensen because the career she's had, she's been one of the most dominant players in the Big 12. For the past 3 years, especially the past 2 years, and you can't deny her dominance this year. When Goodwin was struggling, when her shots weren't falling, which by the way she still shoots way too many threes for only averaging 17%. But where did they go to against Iowa State down the stretch on the road? About 8 straight possessions they went into Kaylee Jensen. She scored every single one of them.
Yep.
When you have a player like that can dominate a game, Chris. That's just it's so important, and it's such a luxury for Coach Littell to have. Now, obviously, you lose her, and you got to kind of try to replace some of this stuff. And Mandy Coleman, by the way, also a senior, you can't understate what she's been able to do this year too, because she's hit some massive shots. She's hit a bunch of shots that have. Let's think back to Kansas when we were there calling that game. She hit a 3 right before halftime that made a 12, I believe, point lead up to 15. And that just, you could see it. It just broke Kansas's will at halftime. Goodwin's not making threes. Miller's shooting poorly. Oh, now Mandy Coleman's making shots?
Yeah.
She just steps up in big situations, does she not?
Yeah, no, and I think in a sense she's kind of that unheralded. She's that, Three Musketeer per se that always gets forgotten, but yet she does all the dirty work. She does the little things. And like you said, when her number's called, like against Texas or Kansas, she'll hit the dagger as well.
Terrific rebounder as well.
Yeah. And, she's one of those people you can't forget about. Sometimes I think teams focus so much on Goodwin and Jensen that you forget Mandy Coleman is a phenomenal player as well.
By the way, best free throw shooter on the Cowgirl team. Best free throw shooter, and she can get to the line. You can be a good free throw shooter, but if you can't get to the line, that does you no good.
So let me ask you quick: out of Goodwin, Jensen, Coleman, do any of those go to the WNBA and possibly get drafted?
I have no idea what qualifies as an NBA player, so I have no clue.
For WNBA, okay. No, I was just curious because of Jensen's skill set and Goodwin
I've heard rumblings that Jensen has made it into a 2nd round mock draft, or something like that. I'm not going to sit up here and pretend that I know what qualifications you need to play at the next level.
No, yeah,
because I don't. So I don't know if you do.
No, I don't either. I was just curious if you had an opinion or not. Because like I said, I feel maybe Jensen would be, like you said, the closest to a potentially, you said, 2nd round pick or something like that.
Yeah, I don't really know. I can see if I can try to pull something up here before the end of the show, but I want to talk about some of these younger players because they're going to need to step up. You look at Braxton Miller, Jaden Hobbs. I want to make the case that Braxton Miller is the most important player to this team.
That Braxton Miller is?
I'm going to make the case. I don't actually think this. I think when it comes down to it, it's Kaylee Jensen. But I believe you can make a strong case for Braxton Miller being the most important player on this team. When her shots are not falling, Chris, this offense goes stagnant. Here's why. Lauren Goodwin is one of the best players in the conference, maybe the country, at getting into the lane off the dribble. If she's kicking it out to the best shooter on the team, Braxton Miller, and the shots aren't falling, all of a sudden, what does the defense do? It collapses. All of a sudden, that defense starts to suffocate it on Goodwin in the lane. She starts shooting jump shots. We know she's an average at best jump shooter. I don't think that's no disrespect to her. She is incredible off the bounce. She can get to the rack just about against any defense. But when the defense starts to collapse and suffocate on the lane, then all of a sudden you start to have these issues. And then likewise, you can start to double team Kaylee Jensen. So I think jump shooting is huge for this team. And that's usually a bad sign because it's not super sustainable. But for the sake of this argument, let's just say Jaden Hobbs is shooting 35% average from three. You're going to let her shoot those shots, and if Braxton Miller's shots aren't falling, all of a sudden it has such a huge impact on the rest of the floor for the Cowgirls, and it hinders what Kaylee Jensen and what Lauren Goodwin are able to do and the things they're best at doing. So I think at the end of the day, is she the most important player? No. But I think you can make a serious case to explaining why they went on that losing streak was partially Braxton Miller not being able to find the bottom of the net, and I hope scoring 23 points against TCU, I hope that gets her through it.
No, I totally agree. I will say a couple things real quick. I know we're running out of time. Kaylee Jensen in the mock draft, she's a second round, 15th pick to Indiana right now. That's mock draft. But yeah, to go out the Braxton thing, I think if anything, next year is going to be interesting because you won't have Kaylee Jensen down in the paint. Unless and maybe they've got someone coming, a draft class
draft class.
Oh my gosh, I always do this recruiting class. Thank you, all over the place. That it would be interesting to see that. But I agree when Braxton's on, it opened the game up for everyone.
Yeah. I think she's a very important player to this team. So is Jaden Hobbs. If she can take the next step as far as ball handling, taking care of the ball, shooting the ball, they're going to be in a good position come next season. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day. On Friday, Logan Mosier and the Big Chief, Reed Spencer, will be captaining the ship. Be sure to tune in and catch them same time as usual there. Plus, keep an eye out, like we said, facebook.com/Border Battle Show. CJ and I plan to go live from New York while we're out there and hopefully have some hardware for Monday to show for our trip. So keep an eye out for all of that. And then keep an eye out for Big Chief and Logan on Friday. For CJ, the great crew around here, I'm King. Thank you for listening to The Border Battle on OSU Student Radio, KXZY.
What is arts and sciences?
We aren't all about the arts.
We like to think of ourselves as explorers.
From exploring the human mind
to discerning the building blocks of the universe.
We don't just read books.
We don't just sit in the classroom.
And we don't just solve problems.
We seek to give everyone a voice.
In a variety of approaches.
We tackle the big issues.
By understanding complex social structures.
And even understand the small ones.
We take passions to new heights.
But stay grounded.
We tell stories.
Of the past. Of the present.
And work to predict the future.
We like to think with a little preparation. Some dirt under the fingernails.
And some self-analysis. You can do anything.
With nearly 100-degree plans to